These days, leading up to the general election, are fraught with emotions and many, many challenges. The issue, it seems to me, is whether to vote with an informed conscience or simply according to party lines. For those who trust in the providence of a higher being, the bigger quandary is this: how does God fit into all of this? We can find some guidance this morning, starting with the familiar line in the gospel: give to Caesar's what is Caesar's, and give to God what belongs to God. This axiom is not only about paying taxes according to the laws. It provides you and me with an opportunity to examine critically what civic and religious laws matter most in our lives. The social context for this morning's gospel and the words of Jesus are very relevant for you and for me today. Religion scholar Sarah Rowlands wrote this: the backdrop of the Jesus movement was persistent. Conflicts after conflicts stem from the inherent social and economic inequality that characterized the Roman Empire as a whole at the time that Jesus lived. In this socio-political and religious environment of Jesus' life, then, different factions competed for power. The Pharisees and the Herodians, featured in today's gospel, opposed one another, but together they despised Jesus and all of his teachings. They teamed up together to dishonor him with a tricky legal question about paying taxes. Next week's gospel, the Pharisees are going to ask Jesus about which is the greatest commandment. And like I said to last night's congregation, I hope you come back to hear about which is the greatest commandment, although I think you all know. With regards to today's gospel, scholar John Pilch wrote this: if Jesus said that it was not lawful to pay the tax, he would anger all the Roman officials. If he said it was in accord with the laws of Torah, he would offend the ardent nationalists who hated everything about the Roman imperial government. There was not much wiggle room there for compromise. Jesus' concise and clever reply about which law applies best of all in a certain situation requires, it seems to me, a more contemporary application. Some laws in the United States benefit some people, but not all persons. States have conflicting laws. You can travel between Pennsylvania and New York, or New York and Alabama, and you will find that there are different laws. And not every individual agrees with every law in this country. The same conundrum exists in many religions, where sometimes laws are set aside or ignored as being irrelevant to our everyday lives. When people disregard civic and religious laws or interpret them for personal gain or privilege, they are disregarding the common good, that which is good for all people. And the result is that people who are more vulnerable and live on the fringes of society, on the margins, they are the ones who are harmed most of all. And that's why Jesus' answer to his opponents in the gospel is notable now, even as it was way back when. In his new encyclical, Sisters and Brothers All, Fratelli Tutti, Pope Francis strongly urges us to, and I quote, rediscover our vocation as citizens of our respective nations and of the entire world. We must be called to be builders of a new social bond, the Pope wrote. Political charity is born of a social awareness that transcends every individualistic mindset. Social charity makes us love the common good, the common good. It makes us effectively seek the good of all people, considered not only as individuals or private persons, but also in the social dimensions that unite them, the Pope wrote. One spirited campaign issue that has polarized this nation and most religious institutions focuses on the meaning of the term pro-life. Does this expression mean pro-God? Does it mean pro one politician over another? How does someone vote in the upcoming election when one right to life issue is touted as more important or preeminent than other right to life concerns? Coaxing voters to ignore other critical issues affecting human life and planet life is not helpful to us in the long run. When moral issues are politicized, their values are diminished. What law can you and I follow, then, to help achieve, as the Pope suggests, the common good? The United States Catholic bishops teach that we should abide by a well-informed conscience, grounded in nothing more than Catholic social doctrine. And you can read that online at your own time. In this context, Bishop Robert McElroy wrote that to vote only on one preeminent issue in a particular political season is to reduce the common good, in effect, to only one issue, when there are actually several preeminent issues that affect us all. So we can ask, how can someone be pro-life but support the military-industrial complex, the imprisonment of innocent immigrant children at our borders, capital punishment, and discrimination against minorities? How can someone be pro-life and oppose universal health care for all, supplemental nutrition programs for families who are living on the edges or in poverty, regulations to protect the environment, and equitable tax laws? All of these issues are of preeminent concern to the entire human family. We realize that no law is perfect. No law will serve every dictum of every religious persuasion. Jesus of Nazareth died on a cross while working to achieve a common good. We Christians can act with members of other faith traditions to discern whose law guides human behavior best of all at any one time of history. Our ultimate goal is to preserve God's vision of peace, equity, and harmony for all human beings, our animal friends, and the planet at large. As Pope Francis urges, all of us are called to act in a way that protects all of these cherished gifts.